the reason why I really like what you do, because you tie your movement back to Africa.
Yeah.
So explain how we used to move, and explain how we are now moving or should be moving.
I think historically as a people, we have always just been, what do we need? What do we use? What do we love? We have, we come from a country of wealth and opulence. And so, those things are also very much ingrained in us. And then of course the process and, I can't even, I don't want to call it a journey. I mean, it's literally a massacre of African people, right, being dispersed across the diaspora, really caused us to lose touch with a lot of who we are historically as a people. And with the abolition of slavery, we want to be like our oppressors, right? And so we find ourselves trying to assimilate. We find ourselves trying to, just getting caught up in a lot of the societal expectations and beliefs of what it should look like to be successful, right? And all of these sort of components collectively have caused us to really lose sight of who we are and what is important to us. And so it's really important for me to write this book to sort of center us as a people and have us sort of recognize, like, what are our core values and goals, right? What is most important to us? What are some of the beliefs and things that were passed down to us generationally in terms of what we were told? What of those adages are no longer applicable, right? Is live for today because tomorrow ain't promised really applicable? Right? Yeah, that was applicable in the Jim Crow era, right? You really didn't know if tomorrow was promised. But now we're living longer lives. We have an opportunity to really do something that our ancestors would be proud of, which is build generational wealth. And we can't do that if we are constantly spending our money on things that really do not serve us beyond taking up space in our homes and in our lives.
So Dr. Sunyata Amen introduced us. I always need to honor the introduction. Teddy Bean used to tell me, my mentor told me that, honor the introduction. Your book has cotton, a sprig of cotton on it, which it's interesting to me that you chose that plant with the red background, Tonya, the red with the white cotton. Why'd you do that?
All of it was so intentional. And I have to tell you, I fought for that cover, right? Because so much, if you go in the store and you look at minimalist books, everything is white or, like a pale beige. Everything is just like shades of white, right? And I said, no, I want this book to be bold. I want it to really stand out. And to me, cotton is just such an important part of who we are. And I really want to reclaim that narrative. I think for so long, it's been a part of our history and legacy that we've been ashamed of, that has been something that, we've been told it's something that's like, oh, your ancestors used to pick cotton. But Karen, the first time I got to go to North Carolina, there is a 5th generation Black cotton farmer. His name is Julius Tillery. Amazing story there. And I got to go visit Julius's cotton farm. And I got to walk that land that his ancestors once toiled as enslaved people and then purchased parcel by parcel by parcel. So now he owns it. And I got to walk that land and hold cotton in my hand. And I have never been so grounded in the sense of our resiliency as a people. And I'm like, no, this is something to be proud of, right? And Julius's his tagline is "Cotton is our culture," right? And so that whole experience, and just tied to that, I want us to reclaim that narrative. And so much of our overconsumption is in clothing, and so just wanted to like bring it all full circle for us, right? And so cotton for me is very much a part of my culture and even a part of my decor in my home. And I like to keep those just raw cotton in its bud, and you have those little pistons sticking out that, I mean, our ancestors' fingers were pricked, right? Like this is not easy work. And just every time I just need to be reminded of my resiliency, reminded of my strength, reminded that I come from just a legacy of the most resilient people on this planet. I can hold that in my hand. And so it's very much a reclaiming of that narrative for us.
Mm.
I know.
No, I mean, as you started talking, I was thinking so much of why so many of us hold on to things is because our journey, and that was a journey, our brutal, torturous journey for 400 years was so insecure. You didn't know when you could be snatched up from your bed and shipped down further south, or whether so to things for us represents, for a lot of us, the reason why a lot of us are hoarders and pack rats and things, because that's the one control that we have. Some of us pack on weight because we control that. Others pack things because we can control that. Everything we've been talking about today is about power and control. And when you have very little of it, when you're very insecure in that way, you make up for it in other ways, whether it's, the toxic way in which you try to lord over people, or the things we collect. And you're saying, let's go back to the abundance that we came here from, the abundance. And as you mentioned, gold, all of the elements, everything, the sunshine and plants and trees and beautiful fruit and vegetables, everything.
Yes.
I love it.
And I want people to understand that, like, your value is not in what you have. That is very much a capitalistic, Western, white framework, that your value is in what you have. Your value is in who you are, right? And so the problem that we have in seeking comfort and putting our value in things is it's a false sense of security. What do you do when that thing is taken away, right? What do you do? And it can be taken away through no fault of your own, through a natural disaster, through a robbery, right? Like, we cannot place our value in things. This doesn't mean we can't have nice things. Black folks gonna always have nice things. We like nice things, right? That's a part of who we are. But I think, there's drawing a distinction there and making sure that our having nice things are things, number one, that we can afford. We're not going into debt to have nice things, and that we're acquiring things for a purpose, for a reason, because we need them, because we use them, because we love them, not for conspicuous consumption, which is a big part of not only just our community, just societal expectations in general, right? This, keeping up with the Joneses, I think is what we called it back in the day, right? And like getting people to understand you have to seek and understand the value that is within you and what you have to offer the world, and not in things.
Afrominimalist Guide to Living with Less. You have given us some tips on what we can do, and it's really about honoring the DNA that courses through us. It's honoring who we were before, which I appreciate. And you talked a little bit about traveling back. Give us a little moving forward, after we sit with ourselves, connect with our childhood issues, and tackle the spice cabinet. Where do we go from there?
So I'm going to give you, there's a 4-step approach that I have, Karen. And step one, I'm going to let you get your pen.
I got it. Yep. Thank you.
So step one is to acknowledge that we have too much, right? And that includes understanding, why do I have more than I need? And why is it so hard to let go, right? Step two is forgiveness. We have to forgive ourselves, and we also have to forgive anyone who helped raise us, our caregivers, our parents, those communities that, anyone we feel that may have contributed to any of the beliefs and habits and behaviors that we have around spending and shopping, right? And our consumption habits. Once you do that, then it's step three. Step three is letting go. That's the spice cabinet. That's sorting through all of your things and figuring out, what do I need use, and love. It has to hit all three of those elements. Those are not individual considerations. You have to need it, use it, and love it. And anything that you don't need, use, and love, it takes you to step 4, which is paying it forward. And that is finding a home, finding a place for those things that no longer serve you, and making sure they benefit others in need. And that's the work. That's the practice, and that's how it goes. I wanted to read something to you all from the book. Can I do that? Because I think it goes in line with what both you and Tonya were talking about. And so this is from page 80 in the book. And I don't know, like I have all of the pages that are just for us are labeled for the culture, and they are Black and they are special to me. All right. So this is a for the culture page. And it reads, ownership is an especially complicated matter for people of the African diaspora. From our ancestors being stolen and once owned as property, to our need to have things so that we feel in control of something in our lives, Black people have a different, deeper relationship with our belongings. Additionally, our communities are still grappling with generational implications and inequities resulting from slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and other state-sanctioned limitations on ownership. Without a doubt, our familial and collective histories continue to influence why we are so attached to our things. Black people and other marginalized groups must understand the powerful connection between the psychology of ownership and the false sense of security it often provides. Our desire to seek comfort in things is heightened when we live in a society where we constantly feel unsafe and at risk. Take special note of areas in your life where your attachments to and unwillingness to let go of certain things may be rooted less in the culture of consumerism and more in the culture of white supremacy. Although making such acknowledgments can be painful and difficult, this work is necessary, not only for you to maintain your minimalist practice, but also for your survival and that of our communities. If our resources are used to purchase things for comfort instead of building generational wealth, we run the risk of not only remaining victims of systemic oppression, but even worse, contributing to it.
Wow. Christine Platt. This should be one of the books that everyone should have. Tonya, you can get rid of some of the books, but this book should be front and center. We should read it and not front. The Afrominimalist Guide to Living with Less is not just a declutter book. It is a guide to living your best life, and that's what I'm committed to. Christine, thank you for being here today. Christine Platt.
Thank y'all for having me.